Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. I'm Suzy Vance, and I'm here with David Arreola, a potter in Chesterton, Indiana. So, David, how did you get into this?
Short version of the long story.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I went back to get a bachelor's in fine arts at Indiana University Northwest. And that's where I was practicing mostly in like two-dimensional mediums. So drawing and painting, dabbling in photography. Graphic design was never a strong suit for me. But I did try a little bit of all mediums that IUN offered in the School of Arts.
So you played.
I played, and I had
You were curious.
Yes, and I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people, a lot of great contacts, great artists. But one of the last mediums that I was kind of introduced to was pottery and ceramics one at IUN. And I'll be dead honest, I really wasn't sure. Like I tippy-toed at first because I was like, yeah, clay was something that I've never done before. And as a two-dimensional artist, I was like very self-critical, and I wanted to make sure like everything was looking perfect all the time, you know? But there was something about watching the demo on the Potter's Wheel. And it wasn't my class because I was ceramics one, so we were still doing hand building projects. And
You saw this video.
So I was packing up, right? And I was getting ready to go to my next class, which was another studio class. And my professor, Derek Walters, he was sitting there prepping up a huge lump of clay on the Potter's Wheel. And I'm like looking at him like, can I stick around? I just want to see this. It's like, I know it's not my class, but it's like, I want to see this. And to be honest, I don't think I had ever really paid attention to pottery. So like this might have been one of the first times that I can recall that I'd ever seen something done on a potter's wheel. Now, background, Derek's like 6'4" probably, big bear paw hands. And, he's got the potter's wheel going, he's centering, he's wetting the clay, he's doing his thing, and he's talking to the students while he's doing it. He gets this nice big ring of clay going, and he's got these big bear paw hands, and I watch him just kind of grab this lump of clay, braces his hand with his other hand, and just pull, like stretch this clay from this donut.
This wad.
Yeah, this donut that's on a wheel, like this real fat donut, to like this very tall cylinder. And I'd say it was at least 10 to 12 inches tall. And he did it all in just one pull up. And jaw drops, eyes are like in shock. I can't believe what I just witnessed. And, he continues on with his class. After he's done with his presentation, he looks at me and just kind of like, acknowledges me like, hey, David, and I'm like, Derek, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to get on the wheel. And he's just like, well, like I ease you guys into clay I'm like, nope, I'm diving in. I was like, that's all I'm doing. I was like, if I'm coming into your class, I want to be on the wheel. And it was really funny. I went like weeks just struggling, trying to figure it out, like almost.
When you say struggling, because you'd try and it wouldn't work out?
I wasn't working out. Everything
What was happening?
Clay wasn't doing anything, man. Like
it wasn't going up.
Wasn't even getting center. I was struggling so bad. I was like, I can't do this. I had two peers that sat next to me. One of them is still one of my great friends. His name's Ryan.
Is he doing pottery?
Yes, so he still does pottery. And he also works now at IUN School of Fine Arts. But so between Ryan and this kid, James, like back and forth, both of them were just like, hey, man, why don't you try doing this? Like, hey, why don't you try this? Or can I show you something? And like, I just kept grabbing like bits and pieces from both of them. And then it took me like maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks, I finally got like myself an actual presentable bowl, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was totally ecstatic. And I was like, like almost like a little kid that couldn't wait to show his parents. I run up to Derek and I'm like, look at this bowl, man, look at this bowl. And he's looking at it like, wow, like he's really impressed. He grabs it, he sets it down. now, it's still clay. Like, it hasn't been fired. It's still clay, okay? and he's sitting there and he's looking and admiring this bowl, and I see him and he's looking around, and all of a sudden he grabs a little wire tool and he cuts it in half. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, what? I was like, it took me weeks to get there. And he goes, law of detachment, man. He goes, we're gonna reclaim this clay, and you're gonna make one even better. He goes, but I want to show you, and he uses like my cut bowl to like give me a lesson and show me like, how to stretch the clay in between my hands. And I'm like, I'm not listening to him. I'm like raging, seeing red, and I'm
Because
just
he's
like,
screwing with your...
I'm like 3 weeks down the drain. You know what I mean? And I got to tell you, because like in the moment, like, right, like I told you, like in the moment I was seeing red. I was upset. I was like, I couldn't believe what he had just did to me. And it took me like a few more practices, a few more tries, a few more attempts on the potter's wheel. And now to this very day today, right, like that moment, that lesson that he taught me, that I thought he was being a jerk, is probably one of the most important lessons I've ever learned in my life.
What was the lesson?
Law of detachment. Like never feel too attached to anything. Don't put all your hopes and dreams into this. Like, just because it fails, it doesn't mean that you can't try again or start over. And I feel like that teaches you so much. It teaches you patience. It teaches you, to be humble.
Teaches you judgment.
And the lack of, there's a
back away.
Yeah,
Right.
And on the same note, like I realized too that like not every experience needs to be a success.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can have an experience and you feel like it doesn't suit your needs right now, right? Or it feels like you failed. But I think if we take time to really understand what there is to learn from those experiences, then there should be no reason to be upset about it, because you could take that knowledge that you just gained and move forward and do better than what you did before.
What a
So
concept. If we could only teach everybody that.
Well, it didn't come naturally. Like, so like it didn't come to me in those specific words. It came to me in my professor slicing my first bowl in half and me getting mad about it. So like, like I think that's one thing that's, if there's something that I could tell somebody, I wouldn't tell them that specific, of a lesson. I would say, never stop learning and thinking, like
Be curious.
Yeah, perfect. Be curious, because if the second you lose curiosity, like everything becomes so mundane and it's not fun. So, and that's the longer story. That was supposed to be the short story, but that's how I got into pottery.
I love it.
My BFA was in painting and drawing, so two-dimensional arts. But the funny thing is that for me, I was learning so much in pottery that my painting and drawing, like it's still there. Like I still love to practice when I get the time to. But for me, there was a totally new artist that kind of branched off from this, because, in drawing and painting, like I was very meticulous. Like I wanted placements to be accurate. I want, depth perception accurate. I want the right colors, the right hues, the right shapes, the right line work. I wanted everything to be so intensely perfect. And being that self-analytical, like sometimes it was stressful going in and painting or drawing, because I have like these grand ideas and I see these visions, and then I could spend 8 hours and I'm like, I didn't mix the right color, or that line looks off, or this placement looks off, and I gotta, do I scrape it and start over? Do I just get a new canvas? Like all those things would hit me after spending like hours, days, weeks in the studio. And not that it's not rewarding, because it absolutely is rewarding, because when you put in that much work and create something, it's always a reward. But then there was something about the potter's wheel that like every time I would get on the wheel, and it didn't matter if I made something great or if I made anything at all, sometimes I just loved
to just feel it.
Yeah, just being in the moment, not really having objectives most of the time, and just enjoying the moment, not just living in it, but enjoying it, So I think that was the difference. That's where like the new branch started, where I was like, I can do this art form and I'm always relaxed about it. Like I'm not gonna say never. I've had a few, like what the heck moments, But
Because
yeah.
you had something and then all of a
And
sudden
then
it wasn't
yeah,
there.
yeah. No, it happens. It starts wobbling, and you're like, oh, clay starts splattering. And then you're thinking about the next hour worth of cleanup you have to do. But no, yeah, I think it is a new artist. So it's like it was a new branch for me, and that's where I just kind of kept in it.
That's
And
where your edge is.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I want to say like I started doing pottery like 11 years ago. So once I started, I never stopped. Even after graduation, I got my own potter's wheel. I was making stuff in my garage, and then I just kept outsourcing, other studios that were, running or hosting classes and stuff like that. And now it's like, hey, can I use your kiln? And then, I got lucky and, found an opportunity to open up Dunlin Pottery 2.5 years ago in Chesterton.
Awesome.
I know I said it was going to be the short story, and it wasn't.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. Because from your story, you had no idea this was going to show up.
Never. No. And to be completely honest, if we were just to go back 5 years ago, I remember, sitting probably just like campfire, bonfire style with some, family and friends, and we were just talking. It's like, well, what's your retirement? And I'm like, mine's probably going to be like a pottery studio, and I literally in that moment was just like, thinking like, well, work a job for however many years, and then when I'm ready to retire, I'll get a little studio and do it.
And here you are long before that.
Yeah.
Because people love what you do.
Thank you so much. I hope so.
This is wonderful. Okay, so if somebody is struggling because they lost their job or that for whatever, they're unhappy and they're trying to figure out what to do with their lives, what's your advice? You have any?
I think that, we're all individually, we're all in our own unique experiences, right? Day to day. Like, the things that I experience, even like the simple stuff, right, is not the same things that you experience. We can go to the same gas station, buy the same items, but we don't have the same experiences. So I think that like my biggest advice is to, take each experience as, as unique as they are. Some of them are opportunities waiting to happen. And some of them are just, they're just, I don't know, dots on a map that you're passing, what I mean?
Well.
So it's like,
Right.
But I feel like if people are, if they're open to opportunity, not necessarily, like you don't have to go seeking it, right? Like
No.
sometimes that could be, like exhausting.
More often than not, it just shows up.
Right. So I think.
It taps you on the shoulder and says,
Right.
are you listening?
Or just walks into your pottery studio. But like I think people need to be open to just experience, life in the moment, and that's something that really came to me through pottery, especially because, in the moment, the only thing that matters is me and that clay, whatever I'm making. But I think people need to just, and if you stay on that mind path right there, like you stop with the exhaustion of searching for the opportunity. Like, is that something? Oh my gosh, where are these opportunities? Where are people getting all this luck and good fortune? I think that if we are open to experience our own, maybe, the right thing will come to you at the right time.
It'll show up.
And sometimes the things that you think you want aren't really what you wanted in the first place, But on top of that, like, you got to be open for experience, like.
Got to be curious.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. The next thing is you have to always be curious, like never lose your,
Even if you think you found what is the answer.
Right. Never lose your will to wander, because sometimes your experience learning or, discovery, like there's so much that you can do just in your own brain. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's like one of the things that separates, some of the greatest people like that have been mentors. You know what I mean? My son's an athlete, and I think, for him, like I gravitate towards like people like Kobe Bryant and stuff like that always had like a mentality that, they wanted to study, they wanted to learn, they wanted to push forward, they wanted to take the best and this like inch that line a little further. And I'm not saying that, by no means do I think I'm the best at anything, but I feel that
No, but you're curious.
I'm
and
always
you're
curious,
loving
and I'm
it.
always learning something. So like, having teenagers as kids and like trying to tell them stuff, I always like give myself that, like, I don't know everything, so don't take my word 100%, because I want them to be curious too, and I want them to have experiences on their own, and I think that's what people need to recognize, like right now, I know there's a lot of people that are, we're all in our own struggles, and some of ours are more internal, some of ours are more external, and it can be very hard to not focus on the hardships,
Hard
right?
stuff. Right.
But if you know when to shut that part of the thought process off, and then be grateful for what you have, and it sounds
Focus on what's
sounds-
happening here and
yeah.
now, as opposed to those guys and those guys out there.
right, and I think that's a huge thing too, is
Shut it out.
stop comparing, you know what I mean? And I'm guilty of all of these things I'm saying not to do. I'm saying don't do this, but I do all the same things, I
But
compare
at least
myself
you
to other
have an
things too.
awareness about it,
Right.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And that's at least the first step in that direction.
Yeah, right. At least I own it,
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, it's me, totally.
Well, this is David Arreola, and where can we find you if we're looking for you in Chesterton?
So my
Or
pottery.
online?
Yeah, I got plenty of outlets for you. So my downtown studio is in Chesterton, Indiana, on 5th and Broadway, 500 Broadway, Suite A, right sandwiched in between State Farm and Nottingham Embroidery. I'm on social media at Duneland Pottery. I have a website, dunelandpottery.com. Soon to come, I have a friend that's helping me develop a YouTube channel where we're gonna start streaming, some live pottery footage, so in that way, kind of assist me also in like some workshops that I host. But I'm coming up on market season too, so that's huge. Like right now, I have Chesterton European Market coming up this Saturday, first one.
And you of course supplied the Beverly Shores Museum and Art Gallery.
Yes, and
Nancy's counting on you.
She is. I got New Buffalo. I'll be in New Buffalo for some farmers markets on Thursday evenings, and then gosh, there's so many. Farmed and Forged is hosting the LaPorte market on Sundays. So I'll be doing those markets starting this weekend all the way through July. Well, hold on, there's more. And then in August, I'll be at the 2 art fairs, Chesterton Art Fair and then Lubeznik's Art Fair out here in Michigan City. So I keep that part, pretty jam-packed for the year. So I'll be, able to share, my pottery with, people and other vendors and artists.
I caught it. I was listening. You teach.
I do teach some workshops, yes. So I don't necessarily do like scheduled, regimented, like 6-week courses or anything like that. Everybody I know has got like a very ups-to-daisy schedule, kind of like how I was saying with my kids, like I always, want to make sure that I'm available for them.
So you have pop-up workshops?
I do pop-up workshops. My studio is mostly supported by independent potters. And then
what does that mean? That
so
means
the independent,
they pay you to come in and use your equipment?
Yeah, basically. So they come in, they rent the space basically, and they spend their hours at their own leisure rather than every Monday at 2:00 or something. But the
how many wheels do you have?
Currently, I have 6. Yeah, and I am looking to get a few more. So I'm on the market right now for a couple more by the end of the summer for sure.
Congratulations,
Thank
and
you.
I hope you all look up David's information.
Yes, DunelandPottery.com is my website, and then at Duneland Pottery on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Thanks so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you for having me out. I appreciate it.
Creating from the heart, the artistry of living. See you next time.